Italy, Ferrari made a decision to introduce the 2018 Portofino, the company's new entry-level model, of course, having a base cost of $214,533. Entry-level means something more important to different people, at a beachfront resort for the Adriatic Sea. That's about 471 miles southeast, because the European magpie flies, from your now trendy namesake fishing village of Portofino, Italy, within the Mediterranean Sea. This being winter, Ferrari executives figured weather would be much warmer and even drier farther south, which explains why we found themselves not in Portofino, playing with the Puglia region of Italy, which constitutes the boot heel in Italy's profile. Puglia's motto, roughly translated, we imagine you like olives. Unfortunately, it wasn't much warmer, plus it sure wasn't any drier, but even as took the trendy red tips for a cluster of Portofinos, the clouds parted and also the temperature warmed so much that we could drive with all the retractable hardtop down along with the heat on, the industry pretty essential requirement of the Portofino which, come July 1st, replaces the Ferrari California T. This lucky change in the elements suggests that despite Enzo Ferrari having died in 1988, he still runs Italy, and likely controls the climate. After all, Manchester International we flew into, Bari International, is positioned on Enzo Ferrari Street, though Bari is usually a 7-hour drive from Ranello. This had also been lucky for us, as the drive route with the Portofino would have been nearly unusable while it's raining. Not for the reason that Portofino couldn't handle it, the traction control and windshield wipers work quite well, even so the roads we had been on, even dry, would have to be some with the slickest, most potholed pavement the land of olives can give. And since many with the roads were lined with sturdy, up-close rock walls, we would have to be especially careful, since Ferrari had Alwachi cancelled a Portofino that has been driven by way of a European journalist while on an earlier wave of test drives. He reportedly tested the wall's sturdiness and was impressed. In one sense, this tryout route was advantageous, since we have got to gauge the Portofino's ride on very rough roads. The ride was surprisingly good, even using the steering wheel-mounted Manettino switch dialed to sport instead of comfort. We got to try the carbon ceramic brakes when dogs, buses, farmers on tractors, and street gangs clad in matching lycra skin suits riding bicycles suddenly appeared across the next corner. What we didn't get to try much was the Portofino's Esatto or the limit performance. The plethora of polished asphalt and potholed concrete did test the electronics, since the majority every time we'd arrive at the roundabout thus hitting the throttle, body fat 20-inch Pireless 24,535 front, 28,535 Outback would look for grip, the back end with the car would slip slightly to one side, along with the traction control would intervene. Thankfully. Late inside the drive we did find my know-about thought would be a deserted, very suitable straight to find out Ferrari's reasonable claim of 0 to 62 miles per hour in 3.5 seconds, but no matter what kind of lodge we chose, we're able to barely accomplish it in less than 4 seconds. Incidentally, these are the basic electronic controls as listed around the Portofino's spec sheet: ESP, escape with F1 track, EDF3, SCME with twin solenoids. We probably can have used 3 to 4 solenoids. And yes, twist the Manettino all the way up to the best and you can disable among those electronic acronyms, but be sure to want to when you do. With more torque versus the California T, and noticeably more horsepower 38, with all the outgoing T rated at 553, the brand new Portofino at 591, we have now no reason to doubt Ferrari's claim of a top speed of 198.838,782 miles per hour. Yes, a somewhat awkward number, On account of our overly detailed translation from kilometers to miles per hour, along with a 0 to 124 miles per hour duration of wheel spare, you the 274238 conversion carry over an exceptionally quick 10.8 seconds. But we simply didn't have an opportunity to prove it. This time, anyway. If all of this makes our drive sound miserable, it absolutely was far from it. The scenery was gorgeous. Plus the Portofino was cheerful, both chugging through villages at single-digit speeds, and, when we ended up the chance, carving up corners. The electric power steering is more preferable but not quite there yet. In corners, there is certainly less body lean than found inside the California T, but without a bit track time, it's difficult to say just how much less. Top up or down, the chassis and the entire body did not flex, squeak, rattle, rock or roll on roads that may not be homeless in Detroit or Newark, so that's saying something. The 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, a carryover on the California T, responds immediately when shifted up or down with the 2 fixed-position paddles behind the revolutionary steering wheel. In case you leave it in automatic mode, the transmission can often be slow to downshift, likely as a result of the search for improved fuel mileage, plus a teachable transmission algorithm which was learning that individuals weren't able to go everything that fast, thus deducing that I was in no hurry for doing this to downshift. A suggestion: when passing tractors and tourists sightseeing in rented diesel Fiats, downshift manually. We asked the Portofino's powertrain engineer regarding the possible desolate manual transmissions, considering that the Pred California T standing for turbocharged actually offered a manual, but he just shook his head sadly, as if we inquired in regards to the health of a maturing but beloved pet dog, merely to learn it passed on and had been replaced by way of a robot. This also describes an interesting, and mildly puzzling factoid: the small amount of Californias sold with manual transmissions now command far more around the used exotics market compared to Californias with manumatics. The Portofino's engine is generally the California T's 3.9-liter, twin-turbo, flat crankshaft V8, with all the extra 39 horses, mostly the effect of electronic tuning, a fresh exhaust which includes an on-epice header, new pistons and connecting rods, and redesigned intake manifolds. Open the hood and behold a work of art. We're so fed up with seeing engines included in massive pressed plastic burkas, that is certainly not the case here. The engine makes a peculiar, distinctive yowl at full throttle. The Portofino's exhaust system has a different electronically controlled bypass valve that moderates the sound depending about the situation, and for the manettino switch position. In comfort, the valve opens to a moderate degree, says Ferrari, to create a marked, recognizable sound that still will stop out of place within an urban context. In sport, the valve produces a sportier, more seductive sound and the lowest engine speeds completely up for the red line. On the rough roads we tested the Portofino on, you'd think comfort could well be the path to take, though the ride in sport is indeed good, even on really uneven pavement, that we left it because setting and forgot over it. So just try to be sporty and seductive. Still, Ferrari didn't manage to worry about its sound close to this much with its normally aspirated engines, since it didn't need to. There's no question that turbos are not going anywhere soon for high-performance exotics, but we're afraid after we talk about this Gran Turismo we appear to be Walt Kowalski in Gran Torino. Get off my lawn. Refer towards the good old days, when an accelerating 458 Italian could peel skin using the downright erotic siren call of their 562-horse, 4.7-liter V8 at full song. It's like when Michael McDonald joined the Doobie Brothers. Yeah, he's good but it really wasn't the Doobie Brothers anymore. Is that a Dati Denoff reference? should we speak about when lead singer Tony Williams replaced Cornell Gunter in the Platters in 1953? We thought not. Outside, Ferrari stylists haven't broken any new ground using the Portofino, but they've certainly created an exceptionally handsome, slightly understated profile that includes a nice feeling of Ferrari family looks. The Portofino looks somewhat like a California T that this designers took a second crack at, inside process fixing the T's main issue, a back that stuck up as being a cat in heat. That was to generate room to get a fold-down hardtop. Nevertheless, the Portofino's complex top sits low enough to protect yourself from the need to get a raised deck. And even when folded, which takes 14 seconds, now can be done while driving at speeds as much as 25 miles per hour, there's enough room inside the trunk under the top to cram in soft luggage sufficient for the weekend. Well, a weekend by the pool, anyway. The design cue which might be the most controversial will be the sculptured horizontal vent that starts behind leading wheels and leads into your doors. At the front in the vent can be a black plastic insert. From some angles everything works, from others it looks being a piece with the body fell off. You can't neglect it, especially while using big yellow Ferrari badge perched around the front fenders, right on top of the vent's largest separation. At least the vent is mildly functional, much like the pair of vents around the hood. Inside, that is one with the prettiest, most intuitive Ferrari interiors yet. Switchgear is properly placed and simple to use. Displays are packed tight but don't seem crowded. Attention to detail is impressive, so very far removed on the era when Ferrari just shrugged at criticism of how the lining looked, a smaller amount whether or not you approved of the location where the company placed the heater fan control. Designers and engineers worked in order to reduce the Portofino's weight, successfully. The weight weighs 3,668 pounds, whilst the California T was 3,813 pounds. Plus the front seats are a good example of how they accomplished the project. The seats' frames are magnesium, and in addition they seem impossibly thin, however are 18-way adjustable and quite comfortable. That thinness also makes for a bit more room for your rear seats, and Ferrari highlights 30% of shoppers are expected to truly use those seats. For what, we aren't sure. Whether it is often a place to place groceries or kids, but unless some jockeys have to reach the Kentucky Derby at the moment, don't expect plenty of repeat Uber customers. Bottom line, the Portofino can be an improvement in the California T it replaces in each and every way, also it seems very comfortable in their role of introducing new buyers for the prancing horse, and providing them using a fun, fast GT experience. While the performance is undoubtedly an improvement above the T, the Portofino is not a serious track day car that could be the 488 GTB's role. It's also challenging to overstate the Portofino's importance to Ferrari. Though the company is often unwilling to provide actual numbers, the California T represented near to a third of Ferrari's output, which can be about 8,500 cars per year. Until the inevitable Ferrari SUV arrives, Portofino sales, along that has a lot of red hats, Puma sneakers, and Scuderia Ferrari Ray-Bans, will be anticipated to fund lots of Ferrari's Ultra Limited Edition models. The Portofino is approximately the task. It's ideally positioned because the company's entry-level car, along with its internal exit-level model, as clients become old customers and move up from your Portofino along with other, more pricey Ferraris. In the US, there's undoubtedly Portofino sales may help make Italy great again. And there have to be a reason we're craving olives. 2018 Ferrari Portofino specifications. June. Price $214,533 base. Engine 3.9 liters. 32 valve twin turbo V8 591 HP at 7,500 revolutions per minute, 560 lb-ft at 3,0005, 250 revolutions per minute. Transmission 7-speed dual-clutch automatic. Layout 2-door, 4-passenger, front engine, RWD convertible. EPA mileage Na LXWXH 180.6 by 76.3 by 51.6 inches, wheelbase 105.1 inch. Weight 3,668 pounds, 060 miles per hour, 3.4 seconds. Estate. Top speed 199 miles per hour.